everyone, it's Justine and welcome to the 12 Days of Christmas, and I'm going to be showing you these two cards today, one silver and one gold, featuring a white on white look and also how to make an embellishment out of your die. So what I'm going to do is I'm using the Hero Arts Joy stamp and die set. So what's really cool is that this comes in a really small stamp set with the die for one low price, which I really like those types of sets, and I used one last year in the last series as well. Now, if you're making multiple cards or you want to try the gold and silver like myself, then you're going to need to cut out multiple joy dies. So I cut out 2 myself. I'm going to remove the die and then I'm going to get started with my embossing. Now I'm going to emboss this quite normally with some Versamark ink and some embossing powder. The trick is with this is to actually emboss them multiple times. You may want to wait a couple of seconds between each time you're embossing to let the metal actually settle. So you're going to ink it up with Versamark, and you're going to then heat emboss it normally, as I mentioned. I ended up not using the dot to go above the J just because it got annoying and tedious. And then what you're going to do is just let it sit for a minute, or you can even do it right away. And use your tweezers, because the heat, after you build up layer upon layer, the heat embossing is going to get quite sensitive and your fingerprints will actually show up in them. So I use the tweezers, and again, I'm just heat embossing, melting, inking up, heat embossing, melting, and you can do this about 3 times, and it's going to create a thickness similar to a chipboard and almost like an embellishment instead of just a regular die cut, almost as if you bought it this way. And again, I did this 3 times, but it's really your choice. And melting silver and gold embossing powder is just so much fun to watch, so it's one of my favorite things to do, especially around the holidays. So now you can see I did one in silver and gold. The gold I did the same way, just with gold embossing powder. The next thing I needed to do was fold a card base, so I measured it 11 by 4 1/4, folded it in half at 5 1/2 inches to make a top folding card, and then I simply folded it in half, both of the cards themselves, so you can do as many as you like, so you would need as many card bases for the many die cuts that you've done. And then I'm going to die cut some snowflakes. Now this wasn't in my plan, or I would have done this at the very beginning of my video, because I think it's really important to do all your die cutting at once and it saves a lot of time. I really hate hauling out my Big Shot every single time. It's not really in an accessible place right now. So I'm using 3 snowflakes from Simon Says Stamp to do my embellishments. And again, I'm going to need to cut these out twice because I'm doing 2 cards. And they're very easy to take out. If you use a shim with your Big Shot or add an extra piece of cardstock, it will cut this really fine detail right through without any issues. Now, because these snowflakes are so detailed, they do take a little bit of work to get them out of the dies. So you may need to poke and prod some of the circles to come out. They do come out easily without ripping the cardstock, but it does take a little bit. They won't just pop out super nicely because of the extreme detail in these, but they're so beautiful, they're definitely worth it. And it really just took a couple of little back and forth movements of the paper to get them all taken out. And I cut out 6 of them in total, and I'll use 3 on each card. The next thing I had to do was put everything all together. So I grabbed my 2 card bases, 2 joy die cuts, and then all the snowflakes, and I got together to start gluing. But I wanted to arrange them first before I started gluing. Now the trick with my snowflakes, if you don't use stick-it paper on the back to stick them down, is to just glue in the center. It'll give them some more texture because they'll pop up off the cardstock, and it'll be a lot easier to glue than gluing every single one of the pieces down. Right? So I'm going to arrange the 3 of them like this, as well as the sentiments, and glue them all down. Now that that's done, I'm going to be stamping the sending in black ink. Now unfortunately I was doing this really quickly and it is slightly crooked, but I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that's going to really notice that. So that's the end of my video. I simply added some Nuvo drops for some extra texture, and that's the end for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.